Introduction of torts. Tort. Introduction of torts. French origin. Latin word, tortum. English word, wrong. Roman word, delict. Indian Sanskrit word, jimha. According to P. N. Jimha called, crooked. Applicability of tort in India. Norman people conquered England in 1065. In 18th century British courts were established in 3 presidenting towns Bombay, Madras and Calcutta called Mayor's Courts. Introduction of word, tort, in the Indian legal system. There was no express provisions for the administration of English common law of torts. Justice, equity and good conscience. These terms has been interpreted by means of English common law as far as applicable to Indian society and circumstances. Definitions of tort. Bigelow's, a tort may be said to be a breach of duty, fixed by law, unredressable by a suit for damages. Pollock's, a tort is an act or omission, giving rise, in virtue of the common law jurisdiction of the court, to a civil remedy which is not an action of contract. Description of tort liability. Tort is an act or omission, not being merely the breach of a duty arising out of a personal relation, or undertaken by contract, which is related to harm suffered by a determinate person in one of the following ways. A. It may be an act which, without lawful justification or excuse, is intended by the agent to cause harm, and does cause the harm complained of. B. It may be an act in itself contrary to law, or an omission of specific legal duty, which causes harm not intended by the person so acting or omitting. C. It may be an act or omission causing harm which the person so acting or omitting did not intend to cause, but might and should with due diligence have foreseen and prevented. D. It may, in special cases, merely in not avoiding or preventing harm which the party was bound, absolutely or within limits, to avoid or prevent. D. A special duty of this last kind may be, I. Absolute, 2. Limited to answering for harm which is assignable to negligence. E. Samand, tort is a civil wrong for which the remedy is a common law action for unliquidated damages, and which is not exclusively the breach of a contract or the breach of a trust or other merely equitable obligation. Important points. Wrongs exclusively criminal. Civil wrongs which create no right of action for damages but give rise to some other form of civil remedy exclusively. Civil wrongs which exclusively breaches of contract. Civil wrongs which are exclusively breach of trust or of some other remedy equitable obligation. Winfield, tortious liability arises from the breach of a duty primarily fixed by law. This duty is towards persons generally and its breach is redressable by an action for unliquidated damages. Important points. Duty primarily fixed by the law. E.g. do not trespass on one's land. Duty in towards persons generally. E.g. under legal duty not to commit any tort to any one's person. Action for unliquidated damages. Liquidated damages, plaintiff in an action sues for a predetermined and inelastic sum of money, said to have claimed liquidated damages. Unliquidated damages, plaintiff have claimed liquidated damages, but where he sues for an amount as the court, in its discretion is at liberty to award, he is claiming unliquidated damages. Even suit has mentioned a particular sum of money in his pleading. Still that until the case is finally decided by the court. Unliquidated damages are not the primary remedy. Other remedies. Self-help. The injured party can avail himself without going into a law court at all. It does not apply to all torts and best example of trespass to land. E.g. A drunken person without permission enters your room. Get rid of that person by him or herself. Injunction. A judgment or order of the court restraining the commission or continuation of some wrongful act or the continuance of some wrongful omission. E.g. Nuisance. Injunction is the primary remedy here and unliquidated damages are the secondary remedy. Actions for specific restitution of property. Alternative remedy. E.g. Restore the plaintiff who is wrongfully disposed of his land, chattels, or goods. Alternative remedy is not subordinate to primary remedy, unliquidated damages. Damages are not primary remedy here.